I'm so curious about all the topics we discussed early on a bit, because you're the executive design director at IDEO, and you're working for, I think now 12 years in Silicon Valley, but originally you come from Austria. So I guess you know both cultures that may be very different. So could you shortly introduce yourself? How come that you come from Austria to IDEO in the US?
Yeah, so my name is Elger Oberwelz. As Lucas said, I'm Executive Design Director at IDEO, started 2008. And as IDEO being my dream company since a very young age, it is it's so interesting that 12 years I'm still excited and part of IDEO itself. But like what I'm doing here at IDEO is manifold, so it never gets boring. So on one hand, I support project teams at IDEO, and I also, like, that's why probably I've been asked to talk here. I really take the right care to create the right environment for creativity and play. So who of you knows of IDEO? Like, I should give a little bit of introduction of IDEO itself. So IDEO is a design consultancy. It's global. We have around 9 offices global, 9 global offices. We have around 900 people with very diverse backgrounds. And what we do is we help companies innovate and really be creative. So we work with the startups and we work with the Fortune 500s and really help them think about creating new creative products, new creative experiences, actually also rethink their organization and really design the organization from within for more creativity, more innovation, so innovation can foster and flourish.
Organizations talk about innovation and they say they want to be innovative, but I think IDEO is really a different kind. So some say it's one of the most creative, the most innovative company. Why? How come? How can you do that?
I mean, it's a fundamental DNA. Creativity is what we live and breathe, and it's a lot of work, and that's something I'd like to talk with you guys too, that it actually takes a lot of work to create an environment where everyone feels invited for being creative and feels just free enough to speak up and really create. Yeah, I think that's why, and I think that's a lot of my job that I do. You know, as I said, it's a lot of deliberate work, and it's a lot of setting the right context and the right conditions. You know, myself, you know, when a creative person, okay, first of all, I think everyone is creative, right? So like, there's not a creative person here or there, but that's why it's so important to create that context where creativity can flourish. So, you know, if and it's really interesting how delicate that process is. So that's why we need to design for that. So really the right context for that is, I give it a little bit of an overview now, is like setting up a playful environment, like just where everyone feels at ease, where it's like low risk to fail, where you can break things and really try new things out you haven't done before, and it's okay to fail, and that's on one hand. It's also, I feel like it's a daily practice. Being creative, it's not something that you can switch on and off, right? It's really something that needs to be practiced, or we at IDEO practice every day. And it's part of be playful, having fun, but then like be serious at the same time.
How can you do that? I mean, there's so you said, yeah, you're playful and it's okay to speak up and even fail, but it's a serious business. So
Yeah,
how can you be playful in a serious context, and how do you practice that?
yeah. I mean, I think it fundamentally what you need to do is you need to have certain principles set in place that are really um, guiding everyone, and getting everyone in the right mindset. And we at IDEO, we do have fundamental values that everyone, like you know, like we live in different contexts. Like IDEO Shanghai is a very different context than IDEO New York versus IDEO San Francisco, where I'm from. And I think we all need fundamental rules that all combine us together, right? So what do I mean by that? It is we have these values that really are fundamental to us, who we are as people. And it's a very diverse set of people who work with each other, right? So which is like collaboration right here is uh, it's really part of our DNA. We collaborate. We know that we really believe that working with a diverse set of teams can diversify the perspective and make ideas better, and we can always improve upon it, uh, um, on ourselves, right? So it's kind of the intern will have very valuable inputs versus like no one is expert, right? In that sense, like we all collaborate and we're all striving for finding good solutions and being okay that uh, um, it's a journey always, right? So that is something that's important. Making others successful, you know, success breeds success. So we go out of our way to help each other to get there. I think that the next three are really crucial for, I think, for me, for environment that is enabling improvisation, creativity. I think one is being optimistic, and I think that's something um, has to do a lot with confidence, with creative confidence, and saying, like, hey, we believe design can solve the most complex and important problems. That I just remember when I joined IDEO 2008, there was the Icelandic crisis. And I come in a room where there's a bunch of designers sitting there, or like colleagues, and they're brainstorming about Iceland, like how we can help Iceland uh, getting out of their financial crisis they had back in the days. And it's like, oh my, who are you? Like, why do you think that you can solve that? And no, so like we brainstormed, and like 3 weeks later, we have a connection to the Icelandic government, and we present and do a workshop with them. And that's what I'm talking about. There is like there is so much optimism in each one of whoever joins. And if you're joining, me as an Austrian who is, you know, like comes from a different culture, like you get affected immediately. You feel all these values that are right here. You feel immediately. They don't stand on a wall. You just feel them. Another one is embrace ambiguity. So a lot of the things we get asked from our clients is very ambiguous. It's innovation. You don't know where it's going. So it's really important to embrace it and say, hey, we don't have all the answers right now, but we get on a journey to get them. And then learn from failure is really important, like for making room for experimentation, and it's okay to fail, try things out. I think that's very apparent. Um, in every aspects we do, we try to build a prototype. It doesn't matter if it's a digital experience or physical experience, or if we're designing for systems or new companies, or organizations. You can always try things out, and if you don't treat the ideas as precious, people will build on it, and they will uh, make it their own. I think that's really important. And so that's one. And then talk less, do more is another one, where really it's connected to learn from failure. It's really build a prototype and see where it goes, and really design. I really believe everyone is a designer, and can be creative, and it comes down to the mindset, and trying things out, and really talk less about it, but just go about it and do it. And I think that's something that's really important. So these are, I would call them like the values, that foundational values, um, that we all live and breathe um, at IDEO. And I would say like the top three, like embrace, be optimistic, embrace ambiguity, and learn from failure, are really the ones that like are really connected to, I think, to the culture of creativity.
Many people talk about, failure culture in
Yeah.
Europe, and we should have rules for failure culture and works on failure culture. But it seems to me that it's very different, as you said, like coming in as an Austrian to such a company, and you feel the values. They're not just written down anywhere. The big question I think many organizations have, like, how can we create such a culture in which people say not only like, I can tell my boss, yes, I have to learn from failure and I should be optimistic, but to really live that.
Oh, totally. I mean, we have IDEO Munich is very, like, they all embrace the same things. So it really comes down to, like, so is Shanghai, and it's different flavors, but it's fundamentally the same thing. So really, what it tells, it's by design. It's not the culture who dictates it, like the environment who it dictates. It's really deliberate design. And what do I mean by that is it's really, we have to create, take a scientific approach to, like, myself, as my role I do really is making sure the environment is perfect for creatives to live in. And what does that mean, right? So it means that you create um, you inspire the people, right? You give them chances to learn new things, and you also connect them in interesting ways, right? So like connecting them in ways that there is like flourishing of ideas, getting inspired, and then obviously, like, in order to do good work, like, we need to support the work part of it, and if you work hard, you also want to play hard. So like, be celebrating is a big part of that culture of creativity. And so if I, like, I tried to put this slide together yesterday, just like in terms of, like, if I would be like a manager or in an organization that really says, okay, like, I want to switch things up, and how do I create an environment where everyone feels safe, and it is I think it's a commitment. I think there's many ways to do it. Ideally, it's a deliberate effort. Leadership is saying, like, okay, we're gonna double down. We want to make our environment more creative. And I think foster creativity, a creative environment. I think there's a few pillars I would say that they all play part of it. It's so having deliberate roles for each of these sectors, like a role who takes care of the environment experience, like everyone has, right? So we at IDEO, we do have people who really deliberately take care of uh, how everyone is feeling, and I think that comes, that's a constant, that so someone who really constantly thinks about it, and that doesn't have to be a special person that gets hired, but someone uh, who thinks about um, um, for example, like inspiring, right? Like what can we do to inspire our people? So would that mean, can we bring in interesting people that speak at our organization? Could we bring um, in, we, for example, what we did is what we're doing is creative residents who come in, who are artists, who do their shit, their cool things, and like people just watch them, and it's part of, oh, we're getting inspired, and then creating the environment for learning. I think it's important.
So that's very really interesting to hear. So so you invite, for example, artists and people from IDEO go there and watch, or they
They're
try
part
to.
of our community, so they would get they would be really for half a year come in. They do their creative projects. It's just like one example, but I mean, I think you have special roles. We have a space dedicated for things, right? Space is very important, I feel like, um, um, to set the right mood, set the right environments. Like we at IDEO, we have spaces who are not as pristine, so like they actually are able to. You can break them. You can drill some things into your table. It doesn't really matter because yeah, and then you have the right tools. I mean, it's I feel like this framework that's behind me is pretty abstract without like examples. If you want to, I have some examples I could show you
Yeah.
what it means to work at IDEO. This is um, this is an example, just like thinking about um, our playful environment. Um, this is an event we set at one day, or like every few months, we think of what can we do to get out of our project spaces and really think about like doing something fun and creative. So in this case, we set a day apart, a day aside, and created an event called IDEO Olympics, where all of the 130 people in the studio are competing against each other. So like there's a little bit of the flavor. Uh, it was different countries competing against each other. The top left is Italy, where they're doing some sort of spaghetti catching thing, or like the top bottom left is more around it's kind of running sushi, human sushi. That was the idea here. It's just kind of the fun thing about this. Oh, hello? Oh,
Yes,
hello?
yes, we can hear you. We're just laughing loud,
Okay.
spaghetti and sushi going around.
No, but I think this would be, you know, an example, for connecting with each other, and create an environment where we trust each other, right? And where it's building trust and having fun, and create a space for just be playful, right? Or
the thing is that many people in this here were pretty young. So is age a topic, or do you have really a broad range of age?
we have a broad range of age, and I think that's actually, I should show you this, because I think like there's another example. We dressed up each other as drag queens, and then did some.
Right now we just hear the cheering, but not seeing.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, because sorry, I have forgot to share my screen.
Oh, okay. Just learn from the failure. That's fine.
Yeah, perfect. So this was so now you see that the image. So this is the Tokyo office, for example, which is the whole leadership. You see the bottom row is the managing directors of that location. They're all part of that event, which was a drag queen event. Here on the left is the managing director dancing, and the reason for this one really was because one team member is a drag queen, right? So like immerse, and that person really wanted to do something and let other people into their life, so it became an event out of it. And I think it's so crucial that like that even when this is the CTO, sorry, like Dave Strong here, he's the CFO, and then one of the founding members, part of like a random Christmas celebration, and they're all part of it, right? So like that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like it's not, it's once it's all going, right? It's everyone is part of that, and it takes their part of it's everyone's responsibility, you know. And then this is an example that I'd like to show is we, as a project team, it's usually different people from different backgrounds. They're all coming together and they live and breathe the project for 2 to 3 months. And you really go in and create an environment that sets up the right context. And you can decorate your project room, you can make it your own. And so we thought it was a project for Fender, and we were renting an Airstream, and we just parked it in the front, and we didn't ask anyone, and just said that this is our project space, we're going to work out of this one, and no one bothers, because you're trying things out. I think that's kind of, I mean, this is an extreme example, but what it makes is it is really allowing for, oh, we thought, oh, this is a wonderful idea, why can't we have like a mobile project space all the time, right? And so it's kind of, that's the culture we live in.
I'm just thinking of an organization in Austria saying like, oh, we want to be more innovative, like IDEO. And I would suggest them, I think you need an event. Let's call it the drag queen event. Just dress up all the managers, all your leaders.
No.
So that I think will not.
So like I know exactly. I mean, this is like, I'm showing an extreme here, right? So and this is building a IDEO existence 40 years, that has been part of the DNA for a very long time. But like we do, for example, we do have innovation labs where we work with, for example, Ford, and the idea here is to transform them from car manufacturer to service provider. So what we're doing here is a creative lab where 30 IDEO designers and 30 Ford designers coming together. And even in those contexts, you can see how hard it is when different cultures clash. So really, it takes time to deliberately um, create that culture, that environment, and it's. I mean, all the examples I'm showing you are extreme, but then what does it mean for Ford designers and IDEO designers coming together? What are the shared values? What are the shared what is the vision we all working towards? That those are all important things to set the group up, and really. As I said, right, I think these things, right, having roles, certain people playing certain roles, having this spaces that are flexible enough, that are just inviting for coalition, inviting for so that these are, if I these are all important. I think these are the things I'm thinking about. To keep expanding on those things. What do I mean by tools? What are the right tools, and what are the right programs? Like a program, I mean, are there, for example, we meet the whole group meets once a week to soup, and we talk about things that are going on, that we present things. It's an exchange of ideas, which inspire, which celebrate work. We talk about failure, we talk about learnings, but it's in 1 hour dedicated to connect the whole community. And that's one program that really does a lot to create an environment that's safe to be vulnerable, safe to actually try things out, because it's constant. We like constantly picking those things in order to propel or underline the ideas that are, and the values. And I think that that's one program, or the and then there's obviously a lot of tools out there to connect each other and to to learn, to inspire, like celebrate and work. I mean, I could do a whole presentation just on that slide, and I think it's in 30 minutes. It's really hard to get a glimpse of all that and deliver a recipe that's what you do. But I think it's doable. It just takes a lot of work, and it's constant work, and it is everyone's responsibility in a way, right? And what we do here at IDEO a lot is, if we work with companies who have very different cultures and they want to start innovation labs, it is creating small beacon projects or teams that really spread the power of that thinking, and of that, where people get, oh, what's going on there? I'm like, I have FOMO, like I need to be part of this, right? So like that's a lot of times where, as example, the Ford work. So there's this, they not on campus first, they have a special office where IDEO and San Francisco IDEO and Ford people work together and do projects that really, and there's a direct link to the CEO who pops by every 2 weeks, and then so that's how it starts. But then IDEO people face off more and more, and there's more Ford people brought in, so Ford people can teach Ford people, and then Ford people really living these values. They make them their own. Obviously, these are different values than I'm showing here, but they're like probably a lot. Some of them are really in order to have creativity flow and foster. I think there's a lot of these things I'm talking about that will happen here too. There's certain roles that um, um, I was talking about a little bit before that really uh, will help create the foundation for that new environment.
What I
So
really like about also your presentation is that you always say like you have to work hard to play and to be creative and so
yeah,
on. I think some people say like creativity is easy, you know, you just have different colors of your socks and then you think outside of the box and then it happens. But I think what you show is that it's really a foundation,
yeah,
building up this culture, attracting people
yeah,
come in, like the FOMO, the fear of
yeah,
missing out, because they want to be a part of that.
yeah, totally. And it's really a daily practice as well, where I think um, a daily practice in that sense where you need to create, you know, flex those muscles, you know, when you're in a project team for 2-3 months, and how do you keep that muscle flexing when you're working very systematic, sometimes very like mind-boggling problems that are really hard, and then really, so like how do you get out of that zone? And it's we do things for half an hour, creative workouts, right, where we get together as a group and like get some thin foil and say, all right, right, so let's make some masks, or you know, or create some toys. Like, so these are all examples of what comes out of a session like this. and and this is, it just shows it is um, you know, as someone like a clown or like an artist, it is a musician. It always looks so easy when they're on stage, and it just they do it, but it's constant training. And but let's not forget, everyone has that in them. Everyone has that DNA, and I think it's just a matter of creating the environment to have it flourished. And I think, I mean, I have I've always worked in creative environments, but I've worked for clients who maybe not have that, and then it's about creating this small starting points where you feel all right. So like maybe the rest um, is like not noticing it, but they will eventually, and that means like being open, inviting them in, start small, but you know, and um, yeah, but it usually it starts with a group that's really excited about that, right? And then and ideally it is part of the business. It's um, it's valid as fundamental business opportunity or like advantage, to have everyone being creative, um, and being there to improvise, and yeah, like as I'm doing right now. I feel like uh, I'm talking too much.
You just said before, oh, let's see if we come to a flow. I think we're just inside that. So although you didn't say improvisation,
Yeah,
everything what you said, like that we talked about the whole week, you know, like learn from failure, be optimistic, make others successful, visit like let your partner shine, prototype. So what I find so interesting is that what you're saying is that you live this this spirit and this mindset, and you use the skills, you train the skills, and then everything what you showed will happen. So I think what we cannot do is, and some people in Austria or Europe think like copy paste Silicon Valley, copy paste IDEO.
No,
They do a drag party. Let's do a drag party because then we're so cool like IDEO. And I think this will not happen and will not work. So I think what you're saying, like training the muscle bit by bit, creating an environment, including people, collaborating, trying things out. I think this is the step, as you said.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, right, I'm showing extreme examples, and it really, I mean, fundamentally, what I was alluding to it, and in the beginning is it's trying to. I mean, it's what is there? What can I do to make people feel at ease, or my team feel at ease? Can I be more vulnerable? Can I be like open for, you know, it's like, oh, with failure, and then celebrate that part, right? So it starts with like a mind shift, and I think and also that low risk part is also low risk to fail or break things. I mean, this is show something, an idea that's not being afraid of showing an idea that's half baked, and have others build on it. Because I mean, that's what we do all the time. We bring our prototypes out into the field to the users who are going to use it, and shitty looking prototypes or apps or whatever we bring out, and then people like build on it, and they co-create, we co-create with the user, and I think that those are things that are like really inspiring, and really talk about the power of designers' mindset. So like you just go take an action, try test it, see if it works, have people build on it. Yeah, but I think creative culture is definitely a delicate thing, and it's something you have to work on a daily basis. And it's something, I mean, just last week, IDEO had a whole, you know, because of the lockdown. So usually in May, all the leadership team from the world comes together, and we thought like, we can't travel, so let's make something that's really uniquely IDEO. So we invited the whole IDEO to participate in a whole week of, we call it frenzy. It was a frenzy where like, there's 50 open slots, you can fill them, and you can fill them with anything you want. And like it really connected us as a global community, which was awesome to see. And I mean, obviously that I'm talking here on a very high level, you know, because that's something we have been doing for 40 years, but like we keep pushing the boundaries, we keep pushing, experimenting with things. You know, it's so interesting to see, like we, as soon as the lockdown came, like you think like our whole business would crumble, because we go out and talk with people, we interview and we learn from them, but no, like our designers are so improvisationally skilled, they can make an advantage of situations like this, right? So like that meaning, oh, no problem, we can, this is even better, we can now do online research, or we can research the whole world, and we can get participants from Tokyo and New York, and we can use our digital tools that we have been using for a long time in this new context. And I think it's just like great to see. Like I'm odd like every day, and yeah, it's fun.
So Elger, it was great, and I could talk with you for the next 10 hours easily. I just get a glass of wine and we continue the whole night or morning for you. So as you said, like, how can you inspire other people? Well, I at least feel extremely inspired. What you showed, what you talked, it's now something that, you know, we use similar words, but how you describe that makes a real big difference, and seeing now it's possible. And I think that changed a lot. And I like that you completely broke the rule of 20 or 30 minutes and
of course.
went with the flow. And that's wonderful, because I think this is exactly the spirit of like, okay, so there's the rule of 20, like 30 minutes. Hey, I've got another idea. Hey, I've got a one slide. Hey, should I show you something? And then we continue, we improvise and see what happens. And I think I've never been to IDEO, but I think this is exactly the spirit that you live, and that these were wonderful examples to see and to feel that a bit at least.
Cool, thank you. I hope you all had much fun as I had, and you enjoyed your drink. I didn't see you drinking that much, but
I even had the bottle. I don't know if it's already empty. No, it's gone.
Okay, thank you so much, guys.
So, Elger, thank you very, very much. I think it was the perfect ending of this improvisational week, to say like, hey, by the way, there's some other ideas. This is how companies also succeed. And if there is a crisis, well, there's some positive aspects too. If you have the right culture, the right mindset, then, I mean, in improv, we say everything is inspiration. And if you live that, well, there's a lot of inspiration right now, just because the world is changing a bit.
Well said. So I see a guitar in the background. Do you want to play us like while we exit? I think would be nice. Would be nice.
Now it comes.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. It was a lovely evening in Austria. Having seen an Austrian in the States dancing in the garden, and we will all see each other. I know that. Thank you very much for joining in. And now we're going our ways, because this is the way how we do that. Thank you.
Thank you. So inspiring.